As good as the Georgia Bulldogs have been to start this season, they are still one of the most banged up teams in the entire country, missing some of their top playmakers on offense. Kirby Smart told reporters earlier this week, "We're as banged up as we've been since I've been here." And that's a pretty big quote considering all the injuries he's had to deal with on recent teams. But man, Georgia might be the number one team in the country, and they still are not nearly as healthy as they should be. That's kind of what this video is all about. Kirby Smart was asked about multiple injured players still, when they're going to be coming back. We've seen JT Daniels being banged up. We still haven't seen maybe three of their best receivers. And, we're just now getting Darnell Washington back, who didn't play a ton against Arkansas. He gave us updates on JT Daniels, of course, Darnell, Tyke Smith, and others in the press conference yesterday. And that's really what this is about. So let's get started. He did talk about the receivers. That was one of the first questions he was asked. And again, they have so many down. And he said, we have a chance on all three to get them back, for the Auburn game. Don Blaylock, Arian Smith, Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint. They were both out there running today, and that was Monday, hitting 18, 19 miles an hour. So they were going full speed, but they were moving around. Actually, this was yesterday. This was Tuesday. Rosemy's probably got the best chance to play. And then each one of them has a chance to make it back, but they're not taking a lot of reps. They're just hitting walkthrough reps, staying in the mental part of the game, and then you're going to see if they can later, by Thursday or Friday. Listen, Kirby said for a while, if you don't practice, you don't play. And right now, these guys are not really practicing. They're going through the motions. They're going through walkthroughs, but they're not 100%. That's clear. Georgia hasn't needed George Pickens yet. They haven't needed Dominic Blaylock. They haven't needed Marcus Rosemy or Kyrus Jackson, who's barely played. Arian Smith, one of the fastest guys on the team, has been dealing with an injury this whole year. They haven't needed those guys, but the next three games are against Auburn, who only has one loss this year, against Penn State, who's top 5 on the road, Kentucky, who's undefeated, and that's who you're going to have to beat if you want to win the East, and then Florida, who's going to give everything they can. So you haven't needed these guys yet, but you're going to need them. And you need them sooner than later, and maybe we will see Marcus Rosemy Jackson back for Auburn, but I don't expect them to see Dominic Blaylock, who scored a big touchdown last time he played in Jordan-Hare on the Plains. I don't think we're going to see Arian Smith, obviously George Pickens. Are we going to see him the rest of the year? Are we going to see Don Blaylock the rest of the year? Are we going to see Eric Gilbert the rest of the year? I mean, those are three guys we might not even see. So we're talking about how good this team is, and the offense has been very good too. They're not even throwing the ball in the fourth quarter. These games are over as soon as they start. So it just kind of boggles your mind of how good this team could be once these guys are back, if they are able to come back. So that's kind of the update on the receivers. Still lots of guys banged up there, so they're going to still need Justin Robinson to catch the ball when he's out there. Ladd McConkey to keep doing your thing. Jermaine Burton, he's going to have to keep getting a lot of work there. And then they'll bring in Marcus Rosemy. But Darnell Washington, I think we'll see more of him against Auburn. He was throwing dudes on their butt against Arkansas. He was blocking his behind off. We'll see if they try to get him more involved in the passing game. And that all depends on the quarterback. If just Stetson Bennett is out there, they're going to be run heavy. I think they're going to push Auburn around, and it could be like the past two games where they don't throw the ball as often because they don't need to. If JT Daniels is in there, I guess he's 100%, but it's hard to really say because he hasn't really been practicing full go this whole week just yet, so we might not even see him. So if Stetson is in there, I still think they're going to run the ball a good bit, so maybe we don't see as much of Darnell Washington. But eventually they're going to have to throw the ball, and eventually they're going to need some of these guys to get back. But we're 5 games in, and we haven't seen Don Blaylock. We've barely seen Kyrus Jackson. We've barely seen a lot of these guys, or none of them at all. So it kind of goes back to what Todd Monken is doing with this offense, how good it's been with all these guys out, and their ability to get push up front and run the ball when they need to, especially the last 2 weeks. The offensive line is building more chemistry. They're working well together, and, they're bringing in other guys, too. They're still trying to bring in Broderick Jones, work him out at left tackle, and other guys as well. So there's still moving parts there on the offensive line, but they are playing better. But still so many guys banged up. As it relates to Tyke Smith and Darnell Washington, Kirby said Tyke and Darnell are both working really well. We're not limiting their reps anymore. They're probably not 100% in terms of speed, but they're getting there, and being on the turf affects them too. It's a different kind of surface with a foot injury. It bothers them more than probably anywhere else in the body, or anywhere than anybody. I think Tyke is much closer. He took more reps today. Again, it's not like just ability. He has ability. This is kind of written really weird because it's a direct quote from him. It's him understanding the defense, getting back in. So basically, he's ready to play. He just has to get get used to live action and in practice and getting back to game speed. He's working his way to full speed, but I do think those guys are pretty much good to go. They just gotta get out there really, and I think we'll see more of that. Both of them against Auburn. On JT Daniels' injury, the biggest one that I waited till almost towards the end to talk about. Kirby said, and this was kind of a weird way he answered the question, but he said about JT Daniels' injury, I don't know about finessing it. My first question with Ron Corson, the health guy over at Georgia, is he going to aggravate it and hurt worse, right, by not doing anything? And he said basically it's a muscle injury. So anything that bothers you, you don't want to do it. So it's hard for me to see JT Daniels starting on Saturday when he needs the rest. He shouldn't be practicing. There's a reason he didn't play against Arkansas in warm-ups. He could barely throw the ball. You're telling me he's good to go 6-7 days later? I don't think so. They need him back for Kentucky, and they need him back for Florida. You can beat Auburn with Stetson Bennett. He's done it before. And when you beat the number 8 Arkansas by 37, yeah, you could probably go into Auburn on the Plains and take care of business there when you have the best defense in the country, maybe the best defense in this conference in 10 years, a solid offensive line, and a strong run game. So it doesn't matter who the quarterback is this Saturday. Georgia should win, and I expect them to win. But they might need JT Daniels at Kentucky, for Kentucky, because they play in Athens, and against Florida, and of course against Alabama, we assume, in the SEC title game. So you've got to let him rest, right? You've got to let him rest. Overall, the quarterback's banged up. We haven't seen receivers. I've been talking about this for months. They're finally getting a guy who could have been a starter, Tyke Smith, on defense. Darnell Washington back. This team is getting healthier and healthier. They got to stay that way because this does look like a national championship caliber team, but not if JT Daniels is hurt. They'll probably need George Pickens against Alabama, maybe Don Blaylock and those guys. So we still haven't seen how good this team is, and that's kind of the scary part right now. They're 5-0, looking like the best team in the country, and they're not even at full strength, not even close to full strength. So that's how good this Georgia team is, guys. We have all the latest news and notes, more about injuries and so on, everything Kirby Smart has said this week over on Dog Post. Make sure you go check us out, www.dawgpost. Thanks for watching this video as always. Watch the next one. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you over on the website.